Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
Sometimes mutations in animals can go nuts to the point where what is born is completely creepy and sends shivers up all of our spines. We feel both horror and pity towards the animal, and in many cases, the animal isn't able to survive with the mutations and ends up having to be put out of its misery. Some do survive, and they make sure to creep us out whatever chance they get. Here are 10 craziest animal mutations in the world. Number 1 will literally give you nightmares, so stay tuned for that. Let's begin. Number 10. The one-eyed cat. Born with only one eye, Cleyed the Cyclops stunned its owners when he was born and inspired them to share his amazing story on the internet. Bengal kitten was delivered in a veterinarian's operating room last week after his mother began to experience difficulties giving birth. The second of the litter, Clyde, floored everyone in the room as they realized that he had been born with a rare deformity that left him with one eye. Not only that, but the kitten was also born sans nose, making breathing impossible. So, tragically, the tiny kitten died very soon after coming into the world. Clyde more than likely suffered from Cyclopia, a rare birth defect that occurs when the front part of the brain doesn't cleave into right and left hemispheres. The most obvious symptoms of Cyclopia is a single eye or a partially divided eye. A baby with Cyclopia usually has no nose, but a nose-like growth called a proboscis sometimes develops above the eye while the baby is in gestation. Cyclopia often results in miscarriages and stillbirth, which is why it's amazing that Clyde came out of the womb still alive. Number 9. Two-legged dog. This is Duncan. He is now 6 years old, and he continues to beat the odds despite his birth defect. When the pup was born, it had no back legs. The owners say they were contacted by one of their supporters from Colorado when he noticed the neighbor next door had an unusual puppy. When he was 3 months old, Duncan got his new home. Amanda and Gary say that this dog is just like any other normal dog. He loves to play and hates water, but he is trying to learn how to swim. Duncan is a very energetic dog who likes to run around the yard. Despite his disability, he is a true inspiration, the owners say. Duncan had to learn everything the hard way. This little pup does everything. He runs up and down stairs, fetches a ball, and get this, he doesn't know that he has no legs. The little joke the owners tell everyone who meets their puppy and are stunned by his appearance. Number 8. The rhino mouse. As much as we wished it to be, rhino mice aren't actually mice with tiny little horns, but rather they are mice with too much skin on their bodies, giving them a wrinkled look. This bizarre creature's look is caused by a single mutated gene of a house mouse and was first described in the 1940s. The mutation causes the mouse to lose all its hair and develop excess skin. I'm not going to bore you with the more scientific mumbo-jumbo explaining to you what exactly this mutation does to the mouse, but I'm no geneticist and unfortunately not qualified to do so. However, it's suffice to say that aside from being generally hairless and wrinkled, mice with this mutation also develop unusually long nails, cysts, glandular problems, and quite obviously a myriad of other skin problems. Number 7. The two-headed snake. Snakes are one of the scariest reptiles on the planet. Now, picture it with an additional head. This would surely grab your interest. That's how We, a snake with two heads, was in 1999. More interestingly, the snake was also an albino, which was even more eye-catching. The World Aquarium in St. Louis forked out $15,000 for the rare reptile, knowing full well that it probably had only a few days to live, but it lived for 8 years before succumbing to natural death. But that amount of $15,000 paid off as the snake We attracted millions of tourists to the World Aquarium during these 8 years. So, why the snake was named We? That's because the snake had both male and female reproductive organs, which made it impossible to categorize into either of the genders. So the name We kind of solved this. But perhaps more fascinating was the fact that this snake had two separate brains, which means two different decisions in the same body, like moving in different directions. Most of the time, each brain was trying to move move in its direction, which was interesting for children. Number 6. The goat with 8 legs. In 2004, a Croatian farmer, Deperak, had a pleasant surprise when he came to know that his goat named Sarka had just given birth. But he was even more surprised when he came to know that the young kid had 8 legs. Mr. Fathark didn't believe it at first and called his neighbor to make sure he was not hallucinating. Furthermore, he came to know that the goat had both male and female reproductive organs. It might be possible that the goat had twins that were merged, hence the birth of wonder. There was a lack of possibility that the goat with 8 legs could survive for more than a few days. There were 2 possibilities. The young goat would have died either of deformity or starvation. What happened next is not known, and the media did not follow up on the story. Number 5. The two-faced cat. The most surprising mutation is another cat, Franklin Lewis. He had 2 different faces, hence 2 different names. The animal with such mutations lived for only a few days, and that's what was predicted for Franklin Lewis. The owner of the cat, as soon as it was born, handed it to the Cummings Veterinary School of Medicine at Tufts University for a closer look. He was shocked to know that the newborn had just a week to live, but he nullified this prediction and lived for a whole 15 years. Today, he holds the Guinness Book of World Record for the longest living two-faced cat. On top of the 2 faces, the Franklin Lewis had 3 eyes, with the third separating his face, and 2 mouths, although only one of them functioned. It also had 2 noses. As far as brain and throat are concerned, he had only one of them. Franklin Lewis died recently in 2014 by euthanasia. Number 4. Bat cat. Mice, you better watch out. This cat is about to learn to fly. Felines are one of the most common domestic pets that purr and like to scratch their sharp nails on surfaces, as well as cough up a furball every now and then. But this Chinese cat is different. The locals say it's nothing like they've ever seen before. The cat wasn't born with the conditions. It sort of developed it later on. At around the age of 1, 2 bumps started appearing on the back of this white little furball. A few months later, they turned into fully functioning wings. This can occur due to matted fur, which needs to be trimmed because of hygienic reasons, but many cases show cats with skin-like extremities on the middle of their backs. Okay, we're calling it It's Really Creepy. Number 3. Henry the Hexapus. Henry is an octopus at Blackpool Sea Life, a British aquarium, and it has 6 tentacles. He was caught off the coast of Wales and was transferred to a local zoo where he was picked up along with 7 other octopuses by Blackpool Sea Life. His mutation was only discovered when he attached himself to his glass tank in the aquarium. Octopuses are capable of regrowing their tentacles if they ever get cut off, but Henry did not have enough space to allow for more tentacles to regrow, so the possibility of his tentacles having been cut off is ruled out. Technically, it is known as a lesser octopus, though the name Henry was chosen because it alliterates with hexapus. There are rumors that he was named after King Henry VIII, who married 6 wives, even though he could have married 8. Number 2. Two-headed turtle. There have been quite a few cases of turtles with 2 heads, but almost all of them belong to the smaller species of turtles. It's very rare to find such conditions in the larger species. So, when a baby loggerhead turtle was discovered with 2 heads a year ago, the news stirred quite a buzz. A sea turtle patrol on Hamilton Island in South Carolina discovered an extremely rare 2-headed loggerhead hatchling, which was desperately trying to keep up with his brothers and sisters, who were on their way to the sea. It was very energetic, but had a deformed shell, making movement extremely difficult. The people who discovered the twins were very excited to see, and named them Squirt and Crush. Say that this is an extremely rare finding in their area, with the last discovery happening 15 years ago. Turtle hatchlings already have a very difficult time in the wild, wherein only 1 in 1,000 are expected to survive to adulthood. If this hatchling was discovered, its chances of survival in the wild were next to none. Fortunately, their discovery gave them a better chance of survival. Number 1. Monkey pig. We all know that mutations may result in extra limbs and appendages, or even the lack thereof. However, can mutations change the genetic makeup of someone so much that it turns it into a totally different animal altogether, or maybe a freak hybrid? When this piglet was born in the San Juan and Martinez area of Cuba's Pinar del Rio province, It caused quite an uproar because, quite unlike its pink brothers and sisters, it was born with brown fur and a face that resembles a monkey rather than a pig. This led many people to believe that the piglet was some sort of pig and monkey hybrid, but of course we know that that is a complete impossibility. Or is it? The piglet farmer called the veterinarian as soon as he saw his sow give birth to this bizarre animal. Since then, the monkey pig has become a bit of a celebrity, with villagers in the predominantly agricultural area of Cuba known as the Mecca of tobacco. Its unusual appearance is believed to have been caused by a genetic mutation, with the vet taking blood samples to investigate how the abnormal piglet developed. Unfortunately, the media hasn't followed up on this story, so we actually don't know what caused the mutation or even whether the pig survived or not. Which of these creatures did you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.